So what I'm going to cover really quick is filling out a job application. So how, when, and where, being honest with your application, the attachments to include with your application, and also following up once you've submitted that. So when it comes to writing down or when it comes to filling out a job application, you want to write down a list of skills that you have and also what you are interested in. So what I would recommend doing is once you have completed that list is look on Indeed and then search that job, search for the job and or go directly to the company website and search for careers. So applying in person isn't as common as it used to be. The majority of companies have resorted to applying online. When you are filling out a job application, make it short and sweet. So in terms of your responsibilities and your duties, also make sure to double, triple check your work when it comes to submitting your email and make sure that your phone number is typed in correctly. So that way the recruiter can call you and be able to get a hold of you successfully. And I see we have another person that has arrived. Martin, thank you for coming.
Lena, are you sharing your screen? Because I can't see it.
Oh, you guys can't see it?
No.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize for that. Okay, so now, hang on, I'm sorry, I'm trying to minimize this. Okay, so when to fill out your job application, you want to fill out your application when you're ready to start working. So if you fill out an application and if an employer calls you and says, hey, Amuchi, I noticed you applied for this job, and you tell them, hey, you know what? Thank you, Alina, so much for calling me, but I'm just not ready to start working yet. They probably will not take you seriously in the future when you are ready to start working. Also, I know sometimes when you're at work can make you mad. You can be talking about it with your coworkers. Don't openly look for a new job while you're at work. For example, some people can scroll through it when they're on their phone and they're on their break. Sometimes if there is a rift between you and your supervisor, that can just kind of give them leverage to find any sort of reasoning to try and get you out of there. So just make sure that you do that on your personal time. And also don't start a job application unless you know you have time to complete it. So some applications can take you a few minutes, some can take longer. It just depends on the comfort of your computer, the internet, if you're having struggles with the internet that you're using at that point in time. Also, they might have to have you take an aptitude test to make sure that you're the right fit. So with that, they will ask you a series of questions, and then with that, that will then proceed in the following process of the hiring steps. So one. Also, complete your application at home or with your tutor at Seeds. So they will be able to help you do that. Also, if you don't have access to a computer at home, make sure you go to the library, ask a friend, use their computer, or
Alina, hang on 1 second. For some reason, there's a lot of interference. Martin, can you mute your microphone? Martin, if you can look on your screen, mute yourself. Amusha, if you can mute yourself too, please. Your microphone should be red.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that, Carmen.
No problem. You can unmute yourself if you have a question.
So complete your application at home with your tutor. Also, if you don't have access to a computer at home, go to the library, ask a friend to use their computer, or also work with your tutor at Seeds. Now, some places do allow you to fill out the application on your phone, so make sure that your battery is fully charged when doing so.
Excuse me. This is about a job application?
So I'm just going through the process of what we've done the last 2 weeks. It's kind of to get you to caught up. So after we go through the job application, this won't take much longer. Then we will go through the filling out your resume portion.
I don't need an application or a resume. Can I go to sleep? I gotta go to work at 3 o'clock. If this is about a job, I don't need a job. I was
Uh,
supposed I was supposed
Mar-
to be doing some type of reading test or something.
Okay, Martin, then you're in the wrong call. So go ahead and log out and then call and see if you can be transferred to Kara.
Okay.
Okay.
okay. Sorry about that, Amuche.
Okay,
So,
so I have a question.
yes.
I have just applied for a job in Amazon about 2 weeks ago. So did I still need to? I think I'm okay, or is just something else I need to learn about the application?
So you applied for a job a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
Have you heard back from them?
No, they told me that they will send me an email and they need to do some background check.
Okay. So what I will do, let me finish the rest of these slides really quick, and then I'll go ahead and I'll address your question, okay?
Okay.
All right, perfect. So, because maybe this will help answer your question before we complete. So, also, when filling out your job application, sometimes they might ask you, have you ever been convicted of a crime or anything such as a felony within the last 10 years? So, or something very similar to that. So if anybody has anything related to theft, assault, drug charges, et cetera, always be honest for the reasoning that they might conduct a background check and that can prevent you from being hired. So there's jobs that will hire you depending on the charge, some that won't. So just always be honest and ask them. So if your charge is less than 10 years old, a lot of places have a policy in place where it comes to that they won't touch a felonious charge within the last 10 years. If there's any, or also if you've had a charge that was longer than 10 years, and as long as you haven't had any repeating offenses, you should be, a lot of times you should be fine. So each employer is different, but if you are comfortable enough, make sure you ask the recruiter that is contacting you. Now, what to include with your job application. So what you would want to do is include your resume, and we are going to continue helping you with your resumes, and also if you have a letter of recommendation from previous managers or coworkers. Now, after you apply for your job, after you submit your job application, don't call within 30 seconds and say, oh my God, I just applied. Did you guys get my application? I typically wait around 3 business days. So Amuche, with you applying about 2 weeks ago, how long ago did they contact you saying that they were completing their background check?
They said between a week and 2 weeks.
How long ago was that they told you?
It's almost 2 weeks and some days now.
Okay. Was it through a staffing agency or was it through the actual employer?
No, it's not through the agency. I applied through online. Then they called me in. Then I went to the office. So I filled some form. Then they took my picture. Then take a copy of my ID.
Okay.
So they now told me they will do the background check, then they get back to me. But there is information I'm hearing that when I was listening to the news a few days ago, they said they were having a case of workers being having contacted this virus, so they're trying to fix some things in the
Okay.
company. I think that may be the why it's been delayed or something like that. I don't know.
So if you don't mind me asking, where was it that you applied at? Where did you apply to work at?
Last month. Was last month.
What company was it?
Oh, Amazon.
Amazon. So I know from what I've seen personally, because I know a lot of people that do work with Amazon, I know sometimes their hiring process can take a very long time, a lot longer than desired. Do you have the information of the person that you spoke with? Did they give you a card?
Oh, no. Because I speak with about, I met about 2 different people.
Do you remember do you remember their names?
No.
Okay. I would probably try emailing, talk with your Seeds tutor or see if they can help you reach out to Amazon, see if there's a human resources department that you can reach out to and check on the status of you starting. Because I do Uber and I did a delivery out there on Friday and I was concerned because of the possible exposure when delivering the meal to the person that I was delivering to, and they did confirm that there was cases there. So that could potentially be the reason why that it is taking longer for that to happen. I would also recommend keep a log of where you applied, keep a log of who you talked to. So each time you say if you go to a job and you fill out an application, once you're done, ask them, hey, do you have a business card so I can follow up with you? Or if I have any questions, I can contact you. So that
Okay.
way you know who you spoke to. And that way, for if this situation arises again, you know exactly who to call and who to ask for.
Okay.
So also, have you checked your email or your voicemails?
Yeah, I always check them.
Okay. Did you check your spam folder?
Yeah.
Okay. So make sure to check your junk folder too, just in
Okay.
case if there is any issues. Also, I would recommend, have you applied to just Amazon or did you apply anywhere else?
No, just Amazon.
So take this as an opportunity to apply to a bunch of other places. So see what other places are hiring right now. What job is it that you prefer doing?
You know, I really don't want a full job. I just need a part-time job
Okay.
because my family is not here.
Okay.
So my family is in the Middle East.
Okay.
So and I need a job that will enable me whenever I want to go and see my family. I can travel and go and see my family and come back.
Okay. Some a lot of full-time jobs will also let you travel too. So I mean I know everyone's situation is different, but if sometimes with a full-time job that can also land you with vacation time, or if you tell them up front, hey, I have a trip designated to go home, a lot of employers will work with you. But if you prefer part-time, you don't want to work with food, correct?
No, if I see anyone that can, give me the chance to travel when I want to travel, that will be fine.
Okay. If what job is it that you want to work with?
Any warehouse company.
Okay. So a lot of warehouse jobs, especially right now, are going to be very hard to find working part-time. Honestly, I think Amazon might be the only one that will hire you part-time doing that. If you are able to do stock, do you like doing picking and packing? Is that what you prefer doing, or is that what you like doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe try applying at like a grocery store for a stock position. It's not necessarily picking and packing, but it's at least doing the organizing. And that can give you the possibility to work part-time.
Okay.
So it just depends on what you want to do. So what we will do now is when you applied to Amazon, did you submit a resume?
No,
Okay. So what I'm
they didn't ask me for that.
okay. So what I would recommend doing, even though an employer doesn't ask you for a resume, still always submit one. When you go to an interview, bring one with you, because that way they can know, even though you might have in your head that you want to work at Amazon, the recruiter that you're working with, say if you go to a staffing agency, if you have a resume with you on hand, they might have other jobs that could be up your alley and could be a right fit for you.
Okay.
So, Brian, if you just want to go ahead, I will pull up the PowerPoint that you started last week, and then you'll do your half, and then I'll do my half. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to go ahead and pull this up right now. So Amuche, what we're going to do is we're going to pull up this part of our presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to interrupt, or also hold on until we are completed and then ask the questions that you may have, okay?
Okay.
All right, perfect. Okay.
You're gonna have to do the slides then.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Take it away, Brian.
All right. So we've already talked about this, but somewhat with you. Why have a resume? It grabs the attention of the employers, can lead to an interview, and outlines your job skills, and your job experience. Let's go to the next one, please. So in your case, you just want a part-time job so you can have the flexibility. I think Amazon is a great place to apply. Kind of piggybacking off of what Alina said, and I'll get to this slide. I just think right now, because of COVID and what you just told us earlier about that, is probably the whole reason why you're not hearing anything from them yet. I think the best thing you can do is just follow up and just, when you're speaking to whoever you're speaking to, tell them like, hey, I applied on this date. I don't know, you said probably 2 weeks ago. So whatever that date is, make sure you know that date, and just be like, I haven't heard anything. Is it because of what's going on or what I've heard in the news? And kind of go from there. So what I'm going to be talking about is like, if you want to like maybe go up, not go up. What I'm trying to say is like apply for a different kind of job where you're going to need a resume. You're going to want to focus on your goal, and a big part of that is a personal statement. So what you're saying in your cover letter and or on your resume is what you are, or who you are, what you bring to the job, and why you're going to be an asset to that company. Can we go to the next slide, please?
Yep.
So I put some examples here. So Lena and I have both seen this. Kind of give you a little background. We both work for Commute Air, which is a regional airline for United Airlines. So Alina and I deal with the hiring of flight attendants, and we go through, I don't know, Alina, thousands of hundreds, on a daily, probably, I don't know, probably 40 resumes, 50 resumes a day about people seeking to be flight attendants. And so over here on the left, like a bad example, and I know this says sales position, but like a flight attendant will be like, I want to travel more. And that's all they say. And it's like, well, that's not really, of course, everyone wants to travel. Who doesn't? Which is also like this first example, seeking sales position. I have experience in sales. Well, that doesn't tell me how good you are. It says you've done sales. So you want to be more like on the other side of it. The good example is being more, hey, I have sales experience, 4 years proven in lead generation, proven customer service, communication skills, that kind of thing. Just don't go like number 3, back on the other side. Anything, please. Next slide, please. And then you can also do what they call a personal statement. And I know we just talked about that. So this is what I wouldn't put on in the red. I recently completed my GED. I'm a quick learner and work well with people. Not so great. The better would be I recently graduated with a GED from a GED program with an emphasis on business administration. I would love to apply the skills I've learned in the role of administrative assistant, paired with my ability to learn quickly and my passion for detail. I know I'd be an asset to your organization. So just by doing that is showing the organization or company that you're applying to is that, you know, you're committed. You're taking time to explain what you have just learned. And I think that's huge. And when I go through resumes online, people that leave something, so usually when you apply online, and I don't know if Amazon is this way, and I do have an example here a couple slides away, but you can leave like comments to like why you are seeking that position. Always fill those out. Don't leave them blank. Just don't do the minimum. Try to go above and beyond. And that's what's going to get you recognized, and that's what's going to get you that position. On this slide here, what are employers looking for? Well, first, education is huge. Obviously, school names, degrees, diplomas, or certificates. And with that, have all the dates. You don't have to have the exact dates, but I mean, when I say exact dates, like not the time, I mean, just the dates you went to school. The next one, work experience. That's going to be huge, especially like with Amazon. They want to see consistency. They want to see, so how long have you worked here? What is your experience? And so once again, list that. Job titles and job descriptions. Don't lie about that. Don't oversell yourself to the point where it's almost lying. Just put your job titles and job descriptions. You can look online. There's a lot of helpful things. So if you put in, like, I'm sure there's different ways of saying like warehouse worker or something like that. Like at Amazon, there's different ways of saying that. So maybe try to look at different ways of saying that, and then use keywords. A lot of these big companies like Amazon's use a robot that goes through and picks out keywords. All right, let's go to the next one. And then here I pulled out a job description from Amazon. So I don't know if this is what you applied to or not, but what I did here is I highlighted what you should put in your resume and or your cover letter to grab the attention of Amazon to get you in the door to try to get, you know, an interview. Is this kind of what you saw when you applied? I'm gonna go with yes. So once again, in my resume, I like working in a fast-paced environment, so that's why I highlighted the first one. And then in their second description of delivery stations, you know, you want to work part-time, so you'd be open to working overnight or early in the morning. So that's good. Put that in there. Also put in that like, hey, I'm an active person. I like being active. So that's going to give them like, oh, wow, this person's like really like wants the job. And then the other two examples. Do you have any questions about this? Is this kind of what you applied for, this Amazon position? I can't hear you. Can you unmute?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Okay, I couldn't hear you. What?
Okay.
Is this something that you applied for?
Yes.
Okay.
Packing and shipping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is kind of the example that I thought would be a good one, and this is what you see a lot of times online. So, and like I said earlier, I would definitely like check back and just be like, hey, I applied 2 weeks ago. This is the date. Here's my name. Is there any progress or is there any questions that I can answer for you that maybe like you want to know or whatever? Just try to open up some dialogue with that person or recruiter or whoever you're talking to in HR and try to get a more of a definite answer than what's been given to you, you know, because it's kind of like if they're telling you like 2 weeks or, you know, they need to go to background, well, it doesn't hurt to say, ask questions, because the worst thing they're going to say is no. But at least you can say that, hey, I asked. So
Okay.
that's what I would
So-
do.
So you are saying it's okay for me to go in there and ask?
I don't think go in there so much because of what's going on with the coronavirus. I know that Alina kind of alluded to like business cards. no one's really doing that right now because they don't want to touch anybody.
Yeah.
So I would definitely like maybe just call and just get the information about the person you're talking to. So like I talked to Susie Jones or whatever, and she said this, and just try to make a kind of like a paper trail, or not a paper trail, but just of like who you talk to about what and here and there. But I wouldn't go there. I would just either
Yeah.
continue emailing or calling.
Amuche,
Oh.
don't go in there. I would, and I know, sorry, I'm still used to the pre-coronavirus notion of asking for business cards, so I know a lot of things are going to be changing. Ask that person that you spoke to, ask for their email. So, hey,
Okay.
I spoke to you. Can I have your email? Can I have your phone number? So that way you're able to write it down in your phone or a notebook or something before you leave, and that way you're able to follow up. Has this so far been helpful for you?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
Good.
good. And I just think too, like the biggest thing to think in the back of your head when you're filling out applications for anywhere is just try to find something that's going to separate you from the others. You know what I mean? So when you're writing about yourself, just be like, hey, this is what I am. This is who I am as a person. This is what I bring to you. To really try to separate, from everyone else, because everyone's trying to get a job at Amazon right now. So it's like, I live in Akron and they're building a new one down here. So, and I know there's a lot of activity and people applying down here. So, it's obviously the job to have right now and it's very competitive. So I would just keep on it. All right, well, I think we're going to give it over to Alina here. She's going to talk about gaps in employment.
I have one question.
Sure.
Do you know any way I can get how I can get to their email or phone number to call?
I think one of us can probably look that up and see like on their website. I would go to their website, put in the area you're in, and I think they might have some contact information there or a number to call. Either or, there should be both.
Okay.
Did you work with the Seeds of Literacy? Did you work with someone from Seeds to help you apply at Amazon or no? Or did you just apply by yourself?
I just applied it by myself
Okay.
through online.
So I would recommend possibly just find the email for Amazon Human Resources. What we can do is after we finish recording, I can try helping you out with that, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, of course. So just what I'm going to do really quick is I'm just going to cover these last couple slides and then I will answer any of the questions that you have.
Okay.
So if you have gaps in employment, at some point you might have a gap in employment, you might not. So some questions that people are going to be asking is, how open should I be with explaining gaps in my employment? What if my previous job didn't last long? What about volunteer jobs or explaining gaps in your cover letter? So with everything in life, work, personal, at any sort of thing, honesty is always going to be the best policy. So if there are gaps within your employment history, be honest. If it's been months or years, just be honest. Certain places of employment can do an employment verification before starting. So for example, if you're working through a temp agency and if they're about to hire you in permanently at that place, but you lied on your resume and said you started working X date to X date at previous employer, if they find out that you're lying, they can, and I have seen it happen, they will rescind their offer. So they will not bring you in for permanent employment. So just be honest in terms of where and how long you've worked. Also, when explaining a gap, don't go into too much detail. Just be short and sweet. So, and if you do have the time to explain the gap, explain it in person, but also when you're in person, still be short. So there's times, even when hiring flight attendants, I look at their history. For the most part, it's a pretty good job history, except one job they might not have worked at so long. And the reason for leaving, they'll say, well, it wasn't a good fit. So when I see them in person, I'll ask, okay, why wasn't this a good fit? And then they'll go ahead and they'll explain a little bit more in detail. And then at that point, my colleague and myself will determine if that, chances are if they have a pretty good work history and they just had, maybe just it wasn't a cultural fit, then that happens. Now, some people can be embarrassed when it comes to employment gaps. And there's some people, for example, I haven't been working in 3 years, or I haven't been working in 3 years because I've been at home with the kids, and they have that mindset that no job will hire me. Also, other people, they'll think like, I have felonies, no job will hire me.
Oh,
That's not true.
that is like me, because
No,
I've been with my kids for some times now, for some time now, you know. So then,
so,
yeah.
and Amuche, don't go in with the mindset that no job will hire you. You will get hired. My mindset when it comes to looking for a job, don't stop until you get one. You do what you got to do. So with you applying at Amazon, that's great. That you took a step in the right direction. You improved yourself by doing that, by taking that one step. Now take that one step further. Continue applying. Continue looking at places. Maybe I know you said you want to work in more like manufacturing or a factory type setting. A lot of them typically hire full-time only. So with the exception of Amazon, you might want to explore different options too. So see what other options are available to you. So being honest and even using the transition of being a stay-at-home parent while entering the workforce can be helpful. I don't have kids, so I see people who have kids as, wow, you stayed at home to take care of your kids. That's amazing. That's a blessing. That's awesome. And also, being a parent is a full-time job. So imagine taking care of your kids and also having a job. So also, childcare can be really expensive. So
Yeah.
staying at home with your kids can be the best option for you at that point in time, depending on your circumstances. So, and also not that this last part might not pertain to you, but when it comes to if you have any criminal history on your background check, some jobs will hire you if you've had a felonies charge, others won't. However, if you can explain and show that it isn't a habit or that you don't have repeating offenses, a lot of people will be willing to hire you. So it just depends on what the background stipulations are with that particular employer. Just always be honest. So your previous jobs, if you had a job that didn't last long, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. Once again, you might come in thinking it's going to be one thing, and then you find out it's another. And it could be a cultural fit. So you might not mesh well with the other employees. Not saying that you're supposed to be all best friends and get along with your employees, but the cultural, meaning like the whole dynamic and how everyone fits in with each other, because it's going to be multiple personalities. Or sometimes it could be you. It just could be a mixture of things. So when it comes to that, this too shall pass. My only recommendation is don't make it a habit to job hop. If I'm looking at resumes and if I see a person, they'll be at a place for 3 months here, 5 months here, 6 months here, 7 months here, that kind of strikes me as, okay, they aren't stable when it comes to work.
Yeah.
If you're at a job for less than 2 months, I wouldn't put it on your resume. However, if an employer sees a gap, well, you weren't working at this point in time, then explain, I was working, however, that just wasn't the best fit for me at that point in time. My employment didn't last really long. Last but not least, I would also recommend staying at an employer for a decent amount of time. So meaning as long as you stay there, the average tenure an employee has at X employer is 2 years. So some are longer, some are shorter. So I've had jobs where I've worked at for 5 years. I've had jobs where I've worked at for less than 1 year. I've had jobs that I've worked at for 3 weeks. So however, the longer you stay, obviously it establishes loyalty. I've had people that apply for jobs and it's not relevant to the job that they're applying for. However, their work history is great. They're loyal, they stay long. So that says something about you right then and there. You have the loyalty, you dedicate yourself to that company. So if I see that you're going to dedicate yourself to that job, more than likely you're going to dedicate yourself to the job that I'm looking to hire for.
I have a question.
Yes.
Just real quick. So when you're applying, so say I'm applying to Amazon, what is the best way to apply? Is it to go to Amazon, or like if you just Google Amazon job openings in Cleveland, Ohio, all these other like Indeed and all these like, where should you apply? Like on Amazon's own website or through these other?
So there's two ways that you can apply through Amazon. You can either go through a staffing agency, I'm fairly positive. Carmen, I don't know if you're affiliated or if you know of anything about that. I don't know if companies use Amazon around here. However, when we've done our hiring events out in Dulles, I know that they use staffing agencies, if you recall. So I'm going to assume that nationally, Amazon uses staffing agencies when it comes to warehouse positions. Or you can apply directly on the company website. So there's the benefit of going directly through Amazon is you're going to be hired in directly through them. You don't have to worry about a waiting period. Some jobs before you go into that place permanently, if you go through a temp agency, you might start off at $12 an hour. However, that company will hire you in directly at $15 an hour. So there's a $3 wage gap there. So it just depends. I guess it's kind of like when we're hiring pilots, like you kind of go any which way you can to get into that airline. So with this, you would go any which way to get into that employer. So whether it be a staffing agency, if you know of a guaranteed start date, I would probably recommend going with that staffing agency and make sure to ask, is this temp to perm? How long is the assignment? When will the assignment last? Am I going to be guaranteed a permanent job? What is the attendance policy like? Make sure you go to work. You make sure you show up to work. A lot of the times when you're going through a staffing agency, they're extremely strict with attendance coming from a staffing agency, because staffing agencies necessarily don't have the greatest reputation because of people. It's a turn and burn type job. They'll go in and they'll stay there, realize it's not for them, and then they'll move on to the next job. That's not the goal. The goal is to get you permanent employment. You can apply online on Amazon. And for example, in Amuche's position, he went directly through them. So it just depends on the situation, I guess. However, I always recommend going through the company directly. And then if you don't hear back within a certain amount of time, I would recommend contacting the employer directly. And then if that doesn't work, then go try getting in there another way. I hope that helped. Did it help?
Yeah.
No? Did it help, Amuche? Did it help, Brian?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay. So also volunteering on your resume. So when you're volunteering, I recommend putting your volunteering on a separate part of your resume. So don't include in your traditional employment, because I think that it just appears that you're just trying to fill in gaps, which can kind of potentially maybe set off a red flag to the recruiter. Put the duration just like you would as if you're putting in a previous employer. Put the duration of how long you volunteered and explain what you're doing when you're volunteering. So that way it'll show that you're making use of your free time. Also, a cover letter. So a lot of employers use cover letters, or a lot of prospective job hunters are using cover letters. A cover letter is an introduction of yourself. So basically you're selling yourself to the employer before they review your resume. In your cover letter, you want to highlight the strong points that you have as an employee. You never really want to necessarily highlight your weak points. When it comes to manufacturing, or more so like entry-level warehouse jobs, I typically don't really see too many cover letters come through based on my past experiences. So also a cover letter can vary depending upon the job that you're applying for. However, it is not bad to include one, as it'll show that you're taking the extra mile to try and secure that position. And that's it.